Yep.
We live.
We're live. Thank you so much, everybody. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Gloria. Hi, Eva.
Well, thanks for joining tonight. I'm doing another interview today with my special guest and my co-host Eva, who's also my mentor, in hopes to inspire others and also other people to check into our online business opportunity. So, just quickly introducing myself. My name is Gloria. I am from Illinois, USA, and I am a wife and a mom of two young boys, and currently working full-time nurse and running this digital business on the side. Before I turn it over to my guest, Eva, my co-host, can you introduce quickly yourself and then turn it over to our guest speaker?
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Eva. I am a neighbor of Gloria. I live in on the suburbs of Chicago as well. And I am a mom, a wife, mom of four kids, and nurse by profession. I spent 10 years in the OR, about 10 years, but now doing this business full time, and I'm loving it. And I'm so glad that today we are meeting in our own, kind of group of the same profession, which is nursing. It's so nice to talk to people that kind of are on the same in the same vibration as we are, and this on the same, uh, you know, we just spoke about it, personality and just way of looking at things, right? So today we have Paula. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yep, you are. Yeah.
Paula, awesome. So Paula, I'm just gonna pass it on to you, and we just so excited to have you. And why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Paulo Perlez. So I was born in the Philippines, grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, but lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. And as Eva and Gloria mentioned, I am a nurse by profession as well. So I've been nursing for over 20 years now. I worked in many areas of nursing, worked in thoracic surgery, respiratory medicine, trauma surgery. I worked in GI surgery. I've worked in pharmaceuticals as a clinical trials auditor for as a real time auditor for oncology trials. I did that for a couple of years, and I did a clinical informatics specialist. So it's another nursing thing where it's a new patient electronic medical system that's being implemented throughout all of British Columbia. So I was helping from the sort of technical end. But then now I'm currently working in research oncology clinical trials. So focusing on just sort of all the different tumor group types. So I've done it all. I get really bored easily in nursing, so I try a lot of different things. But just recently, I put in my resignation for end of this month for just
Oh,
Wow.
to just
Congrats.
pursue my online business and further, plus to pursue another business venture that I want to start on YouTube. So um, I was, I was just talking to a friend. I'm like, I'm nervous and scared as hell because of this is like a big change. But
Mhm.
this quote from like Tony Robbins that came up on my email said that in order for you to pursue something for change to happen, you have to go towards the be accepting of the journey and be willing to accept the unknown of what can happen, because I think it's always the fear of going into something and you're not sure what can happen.
yeah,
And I told her, a bit of it is like money too, because I'm not going to have something consistent in a way of like, when you're working for somebody else in that sense. But when I take the money part out of the picture, I ask myself, Paula, would you still pursue what you wanted to do with this other business venture? I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do it because I've been waiting for over a year to pursue this, and things are just starting to come into play because I had it written on my vision board for a couple years already, like this is what I want to do. And so I'm trusting the universe, I'm trusting my intuition that this is the right moment, this is the right time. So yeah, that's a bit about me, just sort of like where my sort of like where I started from to where I am now. And I'm glad I'm glad I came across this business because it's really allowed me to see that there is the potential of financial and time freedom growth working online and being your own boss and being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that that you wanna go into something else. I remember when I had to make that decision and quit my nursing. It's kind of like that bittersweet feeling where going into something else. What at the point where I stopped nursing, I was not in this business, but
Mhm.
like with your life evolving in different areas, like me starting my own family and having 4 kids, I thought that I'm going to be in with the nursing for my entire life, but then things change, things evolve,
Yeah.
and we are have to focus on what we have to focus on. And with nursing being so flexible, it's still that you only have 24 hours a day where
Yeah.
you have to accommodate your most precious things that you have, which is family.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm like diving into Bob Proctor, personal development, his classes and his
Yeah.
seminars. And he mentioned something that I just came across today when I was listening to him. He had a friend who was I think he was a priest or a minister, and he wrote a little paragraph about when he goes to the funeral of people. He said that it doesn't, um, it doesn't touch him when a body like a person dies.
Yeah.
What touched him the most is the dreams that die with those people.
Mm.
Those businesses that they were planning on opening, they never did.
Yeah.
Those, cars that they were planning on buying, they never did. All those different things that they wanted to do, they didn't have guts to do it.
Yeah.
And they, all those dreams just died with those people together. So that was something that, and I'm so, proud of you, Paula, that after 20 years, you still make it, you go through this terrier barrier, as he calls it, to go on the other side and try something new, because you have to have guts to do it. And we experienced it, when people are trying to get into the business with us, but they just like so afraid to go and move it
Yeah.
forward with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And just to add to that, Ava, is like, working as an oncology clinical trials nurse, and I always bring this up every time I get interviewed by people, is that I've been very fortunate to speak with patients and family members. And um, a lot of it was around time. Like, I wish I had more time to see my daughter grow up. I wish I had more time to see my grandkids grow up. I wish I had more time to take my daughter down the aisle on her wedding day. I wish I had more time to travel. And I'm like, seeing like experiencing those conversations with my patients has given me the the forward thinking of like, time is very limited, and we always think that there's going to be more time. I'll just wait 3 months, 5 months, a year, I can do it. There'll be time next time. But you never know. Like, even like this week or yesterday, like I just found a girl, a lady from my high school. Like, I graduated in 99, but we know a lot of people, but she died just yesterday from complications from a flu. She was only 42, like, has 2 kids. I'm like, anything can happen. And the fact that we're waiting for the right moment to change our lives, when you should just take that step. Because although you're not going to know steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if you take that first step, all the other steps will follow afterwards. And it's just,
Exactly.
when I hear successful people who are millionaires, billionaires, they always say that you don't need to know all the ins and outs. Just take
Yeah.
that very first step, and then everything else will follow. And
Absolutely.
I'm hoping people who are watching this will resonate and know that we're experienced nurses. We see it on a day-to-day basis when we're working in the hospital, talking to patients. We deal with life and death all the time, and so we know how short life is, and we know how precious life is. And us taking this extra sort of risk to make and improve our quality of life is something that we're doing for the better, because we know in our profession and in the healthcare profession, I'm sure with you guys, like in Canada, we're so short staffed everywhere with anything. They're having trouble finding people to cover empty positions, or retaining people, because the amount of people that are coming in is just nonstop. Like I've overheard doctors that the patient to doctor ratio is just increasing so much that there's just not enough doctors as well too. So it's just everywhere globally, and we feel it as nurses because naturally the reason why we went into this profession is that we care and we want to look after people, but it does take a toll on us physically, mentally,
Oh, for
emotionally.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh,
I mean, you know what? Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I totally agree with Paula because we see it daily basis. Like I am currently from home health to now in insurance side. I get to talk to a lot of patients and family, and a lot of unexpected situations happen to their health, and you don't know what tomorrow brings, and a lot of them were not prepared for their loved ones to become, let's say, disabled or get a stroke or just anything, cancer. Like you said, we don't know when our life will end, and what's going to happen
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say congratulations to you for making that big step, number one,
Yeah.
from
Thank
being
you.
a healthcare nurse to a full-time owner, but business owner online. But can you take us back to when you first started this online business and how did you start this business?
Yeah, definitely. So I started 6 years ago, and it already. So I knew the founders of this whole system, the program that was created that all of us use. But um, the reason why I got into it was about 9 years ago. I was actually diagnosed with a rare neuromuscular disorder called cervical dystonia. So it only affects about 3% of the population, and it's the part of the brain that controls that sends signals to your muscles. So you guys probably heard, like, when people get twitches in the eyes and stuff, like involuntary twitches. So that falls under the dystonia group, but mine is cervical. So it was sending too much to my neck. So just about, I would say, what is it? Maybe 8 weeks before I was going to turn 33, I woke up with a stiff neck. All of us wakes up with a stiff neck if we, stop funny. But then every week it just progressively got worse, where my head was it just tilted to the right, and I couldn't straighten it. And I was like, okay, this is strange. Let me just go physio. Let me go to massage therapy, and it would fix it. But then within a matter of day, it would go back again to the right. And then after a couple weeks, it just started jerking, and it started doing this just randomly. And I'm like, okay, this is strange. So I just kept going to massage therapist and physio. And then my physio said, oh, I think this is dystonia. And then I go to the doctor's office, and I went to the doctor's office. The locum there brushed it off, said it's nothing. I was like, can I just get an x-ray at least just to see what's going on? She's like hesitant to give it to you as well. So I went and got it anyways. And then it just got worse and worse. And then I went to the emergency hospital, and the doctor there said, because I questioned about Botox, because that's the treatment for it. And he laughed in my face and said, that's the last thing you ever want to do, because you won't have any control over your head, because Botox, it just basically paralyzes the muscle. And I'm like, I felt like I was getting dismissed, and it wasn't. And thankfully I worked in a clinic with medical oncologist doctor, that one of the doctors I worked with. And this is so to the point where my patients were telling me, like, you shouldn't be working because something's not right with you. But it was the medical oncologist. I was in the room with a patient, and the doctor was there to assess the physician, but I had to lean up against the wall and put my head against the wall to keep my head straight to prevent it from turning. And then I left the room, and then the doctor's like, this isn't right. I'm going to call one of the doctors. And so she called, and then I got assessed and I got properly diagnosed, but it just progressively got worse because I wasn't getting treatment, to the point that the twisting was so bad, it pinched the nerve in between my C5 and C6. And so I got sensory and motor neuropathy down my arm. So every week it got worse and worse. And so it was non-functioning arm. Plus I had this as well as my neck. And so I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't bathe myself, because every time I tried to feed myself, my head would pull over and I just couldn't reach over. And so, yeah, my mom came out. She was coming out for my birthday at the time. And then I was hiding everything because I thought maybe I can, get it back to normal before she came. But
Yeah.
it didn't. And then so she ended up staying out for like 5 months and helped me after I got the Botox and I was going to physio and massage therapy. It took 2 years for me to actually straighten my head and actually get like sort of full control. But my mom stayed, and like it took me a good couple months to even just walk a couple blocks, because it's the amount of energy that's required to use your head is I didn't realize until I actually got the disorder. But the reason why I started looking for another another way out of nursing is because when I was lying in bed, super depressed at my lowest moment, because here I was just before 33. I was fully healthy, going to the gym, like I was independent. And then to this happening within 8 weeks, I was bedridden. I couldn't do anything. It was really hard for me to do things. And all I could think of lying there, because that was the only way to sort of neutralize the symptoms. All I could think about was, and then I just moved into a new condo as well too. And so I was thinking, who's going to pay the mortgage? Who's going to pay the bills? Who's going, like, am I ever going to be normal again? Am I going to be able to drive? Am I able to go to the gym? And I told myself, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to put myself in that position again where all I could think about sort of like was money. Because as I don't know how it works in the US, but here in Canada, we get long-term and short-term disability, but it runs out after so much. And then after that, you're responsible for everything else. And with the cost of living going up all the time here, that Vancouver is one of the most expensive cities to live in Canada, that I'm like, I didn't want to put all that onus onto my partner at the time. And so it was a very stressful sort of period for me. And that's when I started looking for something online. And it wasn't until maybe 3 years later that I came across the system. So that's sort of like how I got into it. And so that's one of the reasons with the health factor. There's the other couple of reasons is because I mentioned I worked in many different areas of nursing. So my seniority for the pay kind of passed along, but my seniority for staying in one area didn't. So although I had 20 years of nursing experience, my vacation was always 4 weeks. And for I looked at other colleagues who I graduated with, they're at 7-8 weeks for vacation. And I'm like, that's not fair for somebody with this extensive knowledge, because anytime I get hired and start working for an employer, they expect a lot more from me because of my seniority level of knowledge. I'm expected more to be a mentor to people, to educate people, but I don't get rewarded and more time off. And with any nursing profession, 4 weeks, I don't think is enough in the entire year. Like I would say 8 weeks is at least sufficient enough because of the burnout factor. And I burnt out twice in nursing career. That's why I quit the one time to go pharmaceuticals, and I quit again going into, I actually quit nursing and just took a year off because I worked casually because I just couldn't do it anymore. And then the other main reason was just help my mom, have a more comfortable retirement, because she's living on a pension. Pension money doesn't really get much, other than paying the bills that you need, but she can't travel. She can't do a lot of that stuff because it's expensive to do all that stuff. So I want to be able to be there for her financially so that I can take her on the trips and stuff. I mean, she's 71. There's only so many more years that I'm going to have quality time where she's physically able to do it. And she fell earlier this year in the Philippines while she was on vacation, had to get surgery in her hip. It was a big surgery and stuff. And so I'm like, when you have a parent or your loved one experience something like that, you know that there's going to be potential other fall risks later on down the road. And so that's why I'm like, she's not comfortable traveling on her own anymore. And so she's going to be reliant on somebody with her. So I want to be that person to take her on more travels so that she can actually not just be stuck at home in Calgary. I want to take her out and get her to see more of the world. So yeah, that's sort of my extended reason of getting in this business, and why, just sort of where things led me to get me to this point in my life.
That's
yeah. You know what? I'm so sorry. I didn't know about your, what you went through. I remember now, Paulo, that I came across your page one time, and I remember, so now I can, kind of, add, one to one, and I can now, realize that was you that I was reading about. a long time ago, I came across your page and your story. I don't know if that was on Facebook or it was on like on a regular website somewhere. I'm not sure what that was, but I remember reading a little bit about it. But with 4 weeks of vacation, I totally get you. We don't even get it in so much in here when you start nursing, right, Gloria? I think 2 weeks is the most.
No, not
Yeah,
enough.
that's not
You know,
enough.
I mean, and you're so right, especially with nursing, just to be able to fill up your cup, when it comes to your emotional health and your, like, even physically recover from what the nurses have to go through when it comes to their, like a regular workforce.
Mhm.
It's physical work, it's really physical, and on top of it, the emotional, the stress, the burnout, the things that we see, working as a nurses. It's just, you need that time to be better nurse, to better serve people and patients, and for the health of everybody. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. How is it? You said 4 years in the business. What were
Six.
your 6 years in the business? Tell me, what were your biggest accomplishment and like biggest down point where you were kind of have to struggle with, or like go through maybe, and what you've learned on
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. So I'll start with sort of like the biggest. So one of my biggest accomplishments was was earning what I would make in 2 months as a nurse in 2 weeks was one of my biggest accomplishments.
Wow.
And you both know, like, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's many people in our business community that can earn 5 or 6 figures in a month in this
Mhm.
business. And so, I made, was it, it was just like a five figure sort of commission in 2 weeks. And that was more than enough. Like, it was enough for me to put money away for the business, take my mom on a trip to Vegas for her like a Christmas present, and take one of my best friends to Palm Springs for her birthday. So I was able to do all that stuff. And one of the other things is, like, when I took that break from nursing, I went down to Mexico for 5 months and
Oh,
I worked on the business, and my partner was working remotely. And so, it's given me the opportunity to taste that lifestyle of being a digital nomad, to work remotely, to be able to just, if you just had your phone, to work and leverage your phone, because we all have a smartphone, but a lot of people are just using it on the personal level. They're not realizing the power of what you can do with the things that you post on social media. You can monetize a lot of that stuff, and that's what our training teaches people. For those who are watching, our training teaches people step by step on how to do proper social media marketing, so that you can use it in a way that works towards this business model. So those are the things that I've experienced on an advantage of this business. Some of the sort of struggles I had with this business is that, um, just before, like, my fourth year, and I always try not. I mentioned this in the backstage. I try not to compare myself, but it was tough during in my fourth year, because a lot of things were happening. Like, and I haven't openly talked about this to a lot of people, but I went through a separation divorce during the pandemic. It was not honestly not the best experience ever, because, like, but it's at that point where my business actually stopped, because, like, I had a really good running ad on Facebook, and then Facebook stopped my ad, and I had to, like, you know give them reasons why my business account was still working. But when I look at it now, that everything will happen for a reason, and so my business had to slow down in that sense, because if I continued on that path where I was making that amount of money every sale that I was having, like I was making like 5 figure sales, that I would have ignored the fact that I was not in a really good relationship with my ex. And so it was a blessing in disguise. And I'm saying that now, like, I've never actually said that, in a recorded interview, but I think it was a blessing in disguise, so that it had allowed me to get over, like, it was a really bad separation. Like, my ex is still angry at me. We had to get rid of the condo during the pandemic, so it was a really tough sort of period. But during that time, like, I was still staying connected with the business. And as both of you know, like, I was, hosting those newbie Tuesday masterminds as well for new business owners. I was doing that. I was also responsible for, interviewing for people who reach certain ranks within our community. So I was responsible for that as well, plus my business, plus mentoring my mentees, plus dealing with my separation, divorce, selling the condo, moving to another new place. Like, it was a lot that I was going through, but it was the reason why my business had to slow down was so that I can mentally, emotionally get over the post-traumatic stress of what I went through with my separation, divorce. And it took about a good couple years. And now this year, things are starting to pick up. Things are starting to get better with my business. And so that's why, like, I can't wait to share this experience with the other community within our community, because I want people to know that just because personal things come up in life, don't let it stop you from keep going with the business, because what we have here as a business model and a program is a gold mine. I mean, it's been tried and tested. I mean, when I first started, we were only within Canada and the US. And then now we are global. We're pretty much in every continent. We're just constantly growing basically every couple months. And so we have a system that works. And it's just a matter of you putting the time and effort and the consistency and the motivation to keep the business going. And so those are the struggles I went through. And so I want to be able to share that with people and more people, so that they can see that just because you can see on the exterior that everything is working fine, but in the background, there's a lot of other things that can happen with people's lives. So don't compare yourself to other people in your journey to being successful in this business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just like saying, you're so inspiring, Paulo, and you're also a coach in this whole online business. But I have a lot of people that are asking, they're working and, they're not only nurses, but they have a full-time job, even busy mom, like they just don't have time for this online business. How are you able to fit that all into your schedule when you were working full-time nurse?
When I started the business, I was working for that pharmaceutical company. And so I was flying between British Columbia and Alberta about 6 to 8 times during the month. And I was at the airport lots. I was doing 10, 16-hour days, because I'd be 8 hours at the site doing my work, auditing the documentation. And then I'd have to go back to the hotel and then create a letter to send to the doctors, and then type up my report for any deviations with that the site has encountered. So those are my days, 10, 16-hour days. And so how I was able to balance my day, I mean, I don't have kids, so I can't compare with kids, but even I have other people that I work with closely, like even Coach Georgia, who has 5 kids, and she's a single mom, and she's still running her business very successfully. And the thing is, I bring my phone up again, because I use my calendar feature on there and put down the time of when I'm going to work on the business. I will get up an hour earlier in the morning to work on the business. At lunch, instead of scrolling through social media stuff or watching a movie or playing games, I'll work on the business. Even on my coffee break, I'll work on my business. At the airport, I'll work a bit on my business. The thing is, with the way our training is set up, it will take about 2-3 weeks average for people to get everything set up, get their business set up. But once that business is set up, the maintenance part of it it varies between individuals. And so it really matters. It really depends on how you're able to balance your work schedule, your family schedule, and other commitments. But if you are putting 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 15 minutes there, 30 minutes there, it adds up in the whole entire day. And that's why I love the fact that, once the business is set up, a lot of it can be run on your phone. And every time even today, I was walking around. What are people doing? They're on their phone. They're on their phone walking. They're on their phone when they're driving. They're on their phone in the restaurants. Like, if people are saying they don't have the time to do this business, I think I'm going to be honest, brutally honest. I think it's just an excuse of them being fearful of stepping into something that they're not, the unknown of not knowing what can happen. Because a lot of we're sort of taught in a way that we have to be fearful of failure. But we're never taught that what if it does succeed? What if we become successful? And so within our training as well, within our training program, we teach a lot about mindset, about switching that mindset from failure to success. Because the moment you start putting out those failure energies and the vibes, the more that things are gonna not come true. And it's like a good example, when you wake up late in the morning and you're like rushing to get ready, you're like, I'm gonna be late, and then next thing you know, you pour coffee and it spills all over your shirt, and then like you're like, you have to change your shirt, and then you go and like you're hitting traffic. Like, it's because you're already putting it out there that you're late, and all these things are happening because you're just putting that vibe out there. But the more you put out the positive vibes, the more that you put out that it's going to work, and the more I find things actually start working in a way. And that's where I mentioned before, I have a vision board. I've had a vision board even before this business, and everything I put on there miraculously comes true. I don't know how it does, but because I look at that vision board every morning, that's my practice. I do it every morning. I look at that, and these things just randomly come true, and it works somehow.
And they work. Yeah, for sure. You know what I'm going through, again, since I'm so like lately involved in that Proctor, ways of materializing your dreams and what tools he's using. And one of those tools is, for example, the vision board, but also I'm going to show you this because this is this is something that I always knew that I should be doing, but you think about them and you think like, oh, these things are so silly and like they probably just, like childish and you shouldn't even go into it. But I said, I have to do it because this is what I want to do and I want to try it. So there's on his website, he has those, you can print that out. They called a goal cards. Okay. So on one side, it's just his, picture, and I don't know if you can see it, maybe against me. Yeah. So it says goal setting and achievement. And on the back of this card, it says my goal, and you put the date by what time you want to get it. Like, let's say, give yourself like 2 years or so, right?
Yeah.
And then there's that little, note that says, I'm so happy and grateful now that I, for example, am making, I don't know, $10 million, a year, right? So you make that card and you walking with it all the time. Okay, you have it by your side. So whenever you have a minute, you read it. Like, you literally keep reading to yourself. And, as they always say, when you keep, when something is repeated and repeated and repeated all the time, you finally start to believe it. Even though, some of the goals or some of the vision that you might have today don't make sense whatsoever because it's so outrageous, like some dreams that we might have, we just kind of like discard them and put it under the pillow because they say, like, we think about it like it's never gonna happen, we're not worthy of it, or we, it's impossible and stuff. And then what he is, advising people to do is keep visualizing just exactly what Paula, you said. Whatever it is, if it's either that card that you keep repeating yourself or that, vision board that you're looking at several times a day, and you put yourself in that situation where you actually already accomplish it, right? So in order for us to reach that goal that we want to do, he says all those dreams that we have are already out there, right? So those are things that are, whatever is created right now, they were already in the space. We just have to match to them with our vibration, right? So we are not at the level yet if we haven't accomplished it, that means that we have to raise our vibration to get to the point where we can meet those, those dreams of ours or those visions that we have. So all we have to work on is our own vibration by visualizing, by making those goal cards, but vision boards, all those different tools that will bring us towards it, to bring us closer to it, right?
Yeah, and I agree with all of it. Like I never really put it all into sort of like what it was called, because I, even before I came across the business and this whole mindset shift sort of thing, I always in my life said that things always work out. That's how I live life. Things always worked out, and they always did. And then when I started, watching these masterminds, like people talking about the vibrations and the universe, vision boards, and all that stuff, I'm like, so this is what I've been thinking all these years.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's
Yeah.
nice to actually see that there's people who will, who are very knowledgeable and all that stuff. And I agree with it, because even when you're in, like, let's say you go a social setting, you can always feel sort of that sense of like if someone has good sort of like good vibrations or not. You can just feel somebody is like, or
Yes.
like even when you see couples who are angry or fighting, you can already sense it when
Yeah.
you come into the room. And that's sort of like what I sense as an individual now, that I only want to surround myself with people who are like-minded, who are positive thinking, because they always say that the 5 people that you surround yourself with, I mean, even though they're not, they can be physical, or it could be like mentors. Like I follow Grant Cardone, I follow Gary Vaynerchuk, and I surround myself with what they say and all of this stuff. And they say the 5 people you surround yourself are the ones that are going to help you become successful. Because when you allow your space to be taken by people who aren't sort of in that same mindset, they just drag you down or don't let you reach the other levels that you want to achieve, because they're the ones that are always going to be putting their fears ahead of you and saying, oh, you know what, you should be careful with this. And it's not fair for you and your dreams when you surround yourself with people like that.
For sure. And then, when you think about it, think about those big people that, the inventors, people that have that did something for the society and for for humanity. They were all dreamers, right? They were all visionaries. So people that like Edison, who invented the light bulb. Same thing. Like he was envisioning what he's gonna, create. He was, putting himself in those. I don't want to go into the topic because it might be too deep for some people, But I believe, as as all those people are saying that, and we have to admit it, even though we as human species went so far away from the spirituality, but we have to believe it, that we are spiritual beings just being put in physical bodies, because this is really the fact, if you like it or not, but this is the fact, because that's how successful people are achieving what they want to achieve, by hitting those higher vibrations, hitting those higher levels of of living. And just us being on the bottom, like a human being, we struggle, we constantly struggle, right? So going against, like you said, when you surround yourself with people who are naggers and no sayers, and they always want to be so realistic, and they would say, look what's going on around you, that's the reality. We're always gonna struggle just like they are, right? And we have to reach out for something higher, for something that is more inspiring, for like get rid of those limitations that we have. A great example is that somebody just mentioned, I came across it, that they said that like to run a marathon, there was only like a certain time where people could do it, because otherwise they would say it's impossible for human to reach, like, I don't know, like to beat the record of the time that people ran the marathon. And then the one person did it. One person ran faster than, I don't know, like 4 minutes faster than, than what was the record before. And then all of a sudden, in the next couple of months, 10 more people did the same thing.
Mhm.
How come, right? So like first they said it's impossible. One person did it, all the blockage was wiped out, all the limitation were kind of like, they got rid of the limitation. They said you can do it,
Yeah.
so just believing in yourself, just to get rid of those, fake limitations that people put on themselves, we can reach so much higher. But this is for another topic, for maybe 5 more episodes that we would have to go.
Yeah.
Well, I really, really appreciate you sharing all of that, Eva. That's another episode.
Yes.
But for the interest of time, I just want to ask Coach Paulo any advice or last word on people who are skeptical coming online business. I mean, I myself was skeptical coming online, thinking it's a scam and all of that, but, I had my due diligence done and I came online, and this is how I jumped online. But since you've been in the business for way longer than we are, and you're the coach in the business, what advice can you give to those people out there that are still skeptical? They just can't go over that fence.
Yeah. So definitely do your due diligence. I mean, that's the reason why I have this free information webinar. It's 90 minutes long. And when people are like, oh, can you just quickly tell me what the business is about? I'm like, I can't, because I'm going to do disservice to you if I trying to squeeze 90 minutes of information into a 5-10 minute conversation, or even a short text is not going to be enough information for you to actually understand what this business system and model is about. And so take time out of your day. It's 90 minutes. It's shorter than most Netflix videos now, the movies, and it will go by pretty quick. But this one thing could potentially change your life, the course of the direction you want to go to in life. And if you're always sitting there thinking like, I need to make a change, I'm only living paycheck to paycheck, the cost of living is increasing, or you're worried about how your life is going to be 6 months, a year, 2, 3, 4 years down the road, then this is the right time. Don't wait any longer, because there's a lot of people I've done coaching calls with, and they're like, I ran across the system a year ago, 2 years ago, and like I just didn't want to jump in because I was skeptical, or things just got busy in life, and like I wish I would have started earlier. And so don't be that kind of person to wait longer, because like as I mentioned before, the system has been around, it's been tried and tested. We're scaling at such a massive level already, that we are able to help people become millionaires in this business. Like I can say that now because we've seen it in our community. We're making millionaires with the system that we have. And for anyone in healthcare and nursing, I always bring it back with my coaching call as well with nursing. If I was in nursing 101 year one, if they told me that by the time you graduate, you'll be a charge nurse and responsible of like 8 to 10 patients at a night shift, that you'd be cleaning pee, poo, blood, pulling out tubes, doing art lines, pulling out catheters, getting pee on your face, I would have stopped myself and said, no, I probably wouldn't get into nursing. I probably would have gone into something else. But with nursing, they gradually feed you a bit of information every year so that you get comfortable with knowing about what it is about nursing. And the same thing with the way we organize the information being given to you, because it's a new way of doing business online, that if we give you all the information and just do verbal diarrhea of all the information, it's going to go over your head, and then you're going to start comparing with other things that you've come across that isn't even very similar to the model that we have, that you're going to throw out this potential good opportunity away. And so that's why we give them in sort of pieces, so that you can take the information, absorb it, and then now that you've absorbed that information, you can take a bit more information, absorb that, etc. Because we live in an age now that our attention span is so short that we can't retain a lot of information. And so follow the stages. Like if you resonate with any of us, watch an information webinar, and then from there, if you want to look into it further, then reach out to us, because we've also, within our smaller groups, because we have a really big community, within our other smaller groups, we have other sort of private Facebook groups where we have additional information. Like with my group, we created frequently asked question videos that we get very commonly as mentors and coaches about what this business is about, how to run this business, or how they can run this business while they're working. So we created videos like that. So that allows you to do more due diligence and learning more about this business. And I don't think anybody with like any other system out there allows people like us. Like I'm very communicative with people who are looking into this business. I've done other sort of, I tampered in other sort of businesses as well, where I don't really get this much mentorship or contact with people that I need to get information from, or they're maybe very less, like they're not really giving me all the information. And so the other thing too is just follow your instinct, follow your gut. If it's leading you towards this, then go for it. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. I mean, we're not here to convince people to do this business. We're just here to show people that this is a legitimate opportunity that has helped thousands and thousands of people globally around this world to change their life, where they are, they may not quit their job right away, but a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, they can quit their job and make this plan B a plan A, so that, they can do whatever they want now. Like it's just been amazing watching a lot of people in our community and their growth, and just seeing how much happier they are. And I find a lot of people who are very successful in the community get back. They get back to the community, get back to their community. They start foundations. They help other people because, they find that, this wealth that they have accomplished, giving back to the community is what their true mission is, to helping others. And so I'm at that level now that I don't care about the money that I make in this business. I want to help other people know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is a way out of the 9-to-5 job, and that the money that I will create with this business, I will give it back. I want to give it back to my family. I want to give back to my friends. I want to give it back to my niece and nephew, so that they in turn don't follow the same steps as us, where they think that they need to go to school to become successful and land a job. I want them to become entrepreneurs. I want them to become business people, so that they can create financial literacy, so that they don't end up where we are, where we're struggling to try to get ahead. So those are the things I would suggest for people, is that look into us, because the sky's the limit working online. There's no cap financially of what you can earn online, and you have the portability and flexibility of taking this business anywhere. Sorry, it was very long, but I just
no, but it was very valuable. Yeah, whatever you said was, I always say that I think there was a quote from Marilyn Monroe, that not the sky is the limit, but your own limitation is the limit, so you have to let yourself just give a chance and try it, because as you said, there are opportunities, and it's a big mind opening for all of us, working in the corporate world before, where we were just kind of like, put it in a box, and we didn't know what's the word, has to offer outside of it, being in the hospital, working with, in nursing. There's so much more than just what we do. And if somebody feels bad of, quitting nursing, or like even getting, a little bit deviating from it, we're going to have so much opportunity, as you, Paula, mentioned, that, to serve people different way, because you can serve them even more by, making this business work, and do, like a lot of people in our community, as you said, making those donations, or like setting up different like ventures that help other people. There's just a totally so much bigger world that you can discover by getting into the business.
Yeah, and then just to add to like before we end, is that it's not like I want to take away nurses from like the nursing role, but I find that even a lot of nurses still love their job, but when they do this business, and then they're doing this business full time, they can just switch to a casual role or like a part-time role, and they go into work happier. I interviewed this other couple, and they're like, we're so much happier, because like they went from 3 nursing jobs down to like 1, and they're only working part-time, and they're just a lot more happier, and that makes them a better leader in that nursing role, where they're not
For sure.
stressed or like biting someone's head when somebody's asking for help. Like they're not in that position anymore. And I loved it. When I was a casual, I was like, sweet, I have no patient, like I don't have a set patient. I just deal with whoever needs help with. And I was really happy because it was nice, because, you know, you guys know when like we worked in hospital, you have those set patients for that many shifts. And some patients are challenging, you know that. And then it's just like, I can't wait for the shift to end. But you don't get that anymore, because you're like, you pick and choose, which is nice because you can still do the profession and do the business too. So
absolutely. And I always say a nurse is always a nurse, and we're always going to be nurses no matter what we do in life, right? Because we led by our instinct, you know, like personality. That's why we got into nursing. Yeah.
Well, thank you both. Thank you, Coach Paulo, for sharing your inspiring personal story to our audience and with us. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, taking out of your time to meet with us today. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Coach Paul.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I wish you the best in your business.
Thank you.